Okay, we're going to move on to the Government Services Committee. So I'd like to call to order the Government Service Committee for St. Charles, Monday, September 19th, 2022. Please call the roll.
Warbaugh.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Sulkaitis.
Here.
Payleitner.
Here.
Bongard.
Here.
Bancroft. Lencioni.
Yep.
Petrola.
Here.
Bongard.
Just say it.
Just
say
here. Yeah, you got wait twice. I'm here twice.
Elamar.
Here. I'm here for Bill.
Okay, thank you. Did we get everybody? Thank you. That leads us to item number 4. We do have an omnibus tonight, but there's been a request to pull out item 5A from the omnibus votes. Can someone make a motion to do so?
Second.
That was moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Warbaugh.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Sulkaitis.
Yes.
Calamaris.
Yes.
Payleitner.
Yes.
Bongard.
Yes.
Bancroft. Lencioni. Petrola.
Yes.
Thank you. And that leads us now for discussion on item 5A from the Public Works Department, a recommendation to approve a resolution awarding the bid for east parking deck maintenance. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening. Yes, this agenda item is our recommendation for simple approval of the bid for maintenance work to be performed on the east side parking deck, which, as you all know, is located on Walnut Avenue between 2nd and 3rd. A couple of years ago, we concluded a conditions assessment of the parking deck, and several maintenance repairs were identified, including things like spalling concrete floors and wall repair patches, resealing expansion joints and floor drains, reglazing and sealing windows, replacing light fixtures with new LED light fixtures, restriping some traffic markings, miscellaneous painting, and replacing the loose treads that are in the stairwell. These repairs are really fairly minor and therefore will require only partial closures to some of the parking stalls and should be completed within just a few weeks. We're aware that the recent 2nd Avenue street work impacted local businesses, including some parking closures in the same garage, and I think that's the sensitivity. The parking closures related to this project shouldn't be as significant, but we'll be working with the contractor to first minimize the amount of parking closed during the duration of the work. For example, we shouldn't need to have parking closed on the weekends and for most evenings. If we do a caulk joint across the entire deck, we might have a closing for one particular night. We'll schedule that on a Tuesday or Wednesday, not on a weekend or a Friday. We're going to limit the work to only one level at a time. So if we do have to close the entire level, it'll be for a day at the max, and it'll only be one of the levels of the 3. We're also going to talk with the surrounding businesses and let them know specific dates and closures well in advance of the work. And we have the flexibility with this type of work to work with them and accommodate any concerns that they have. If they have a special event or something like that, we can always move the date. So in this bid, we did receive 6 qualified and competitive bids for the work. Western Specialty Contractors submitted the lowest responsive bid and qualified contractor, and they've had excellent references. So if there's no questions, we'd recommend approval of the contract. Yes, sir.
I do have one comment in doing things like this, and it just comes from just experience being a business owner. Sometimes there are closures that come up that are more problematic than would be, obvious to people in the city. Like I can remember making a call one time where a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, when Illinois Street was closed, which made it look like downtown was going to be inconvenient, they're like everything is going to be open for the holidays, but not thinking that that's when orders were coming in, and you can scare some business away. So in saying that, I just want to make sure that you're going to be really connected with the business owners who are in the surrounding area so they can provide some of the things that you wouldn't be aware of in scheduling and just looking for assurances that you're talking to those guys and they're aware ahead of time of schedules and have some input.
Very good. We will.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Werble.
Thanks, Peter, for covering all that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So the timeline, you're talking a few weeks total for this project?
Total, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Weber.
Here, when do you anticipate this will start?
With acceptance of this at the next city council meeting in a week, or 2 weeks actually, we could get started probably a week or so after that. So 3 to 5 weeks, somewhere in that range.
And how long you think the work would take?
3 weeks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just had one. It looks like the amount,
I'm sorry, it's 3 weeks from when we start, not
No,
3
I
weeks from
know.
today.
I'm just so hesitant right now because of things that have happened over there recently, like literally, me personally, I can't support this right now. Like, I would support it, but I would like it to be delayed because of what has transpired over there in that side of town. I don't want parking to be interrupted at all throughout, like, the rest of the year. That's just me talking to them.
any other thoughts on that?
Right. You said all the floors for the deck will be accessible at all times, or will there be a period where you have to close a deck for maybe one day? Could you clarify that?
Yeah, so I think that if we have to close a deck, an entire deck for all parking spaces, the max it would be a day or a night. So I think the one piece of work that would require that would be the expansion joint caulking that would go across the entire length of a deck. And we just wanted to give it 24 hours to dry before we open that up. So that's probably the biggest impact on this project. Beyond that, we're talking, a few spots here and there. For example, if we have to do a wall patch that takes up 3 or 4 parking spaces, we would limit the closure to just those 3 and 4 parking spaces while the work is being performed during the day. Most likely, we could open that up in the evening and have it available as soon as the work is complete.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Bongard?
So if you were to delay, ideally, when would this come back?
Well, I think step one would be to work with the contractor and see if they would hold their bid. And we haven't asked that question yet. A lot of this work is weather sensitive. We can't do the concrete work and the caulking work in the middle of the winter. So we would be looking at next spring.
So to Alderman Weber's point, I know we're not going to go to the businesses and ask them for approval to do this, but they kind of paint themselves into a corner of, would you rather do this now and have it be done and finished, or would you rather come back in 6 months and kind of relive the same thing? So is there a process that the city might reach out and say, we hear you, businesses have been affected down here, but, you don't want to come back and have to, have more construction, do it all over again next spring, next summer?
One of the things that we are talking about here is the closure of a potential level. At that point, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, but the entire garage wouldn't be closed. It would be one level at a time.
That's correct.
So the whole garage itself would remain open. Access to the garage would remain open, but it would be a third level, for example, that would be closed, or a first level while that work is curing. So the entirety of the garage would never be closed all at once. But we can certainly work with those surrounding business owners to see if there's an anticipated either time of the week or time that would work for them. But in anticipation, if those business owners were to say there's not a time, either council's forgoing this improvement or we're delaying it for a fiscal year, because in all likelihood, the contractor holding that bid for an extended period of time isn't likely. So we would just rebid it out at a future date.
Councilmember Lencioni?
I have to expect that any of the very reasonable business owners around there could find a day, like a Monday or a Tuesday. I would expect that. I would expect you to be sensitive to that. I expect the reasonable business owners, if they had some control over when it happened, could find the right timing. And if there was an extraordinary circumstance that we can't anticipate because we don't know their businesses, that would be considered. But I also have a lot of faith that you can handle that. So I still support you with having this conversation. Go for it.
And then I had just a quick question. Where does this put us with the garage for 58 grand? Does this put us out another 5-10 years without any major needs?
So, no. The assessment report did come back with one other significant project, and I think that we're all familiar with the surface, especially on that top level, can get pretty slippery. That is in need of replacement in the next few years. So we elected to hold off on that work. Number one, just from budgeting reasons, it's about $150,000 project to recoat the top level and the second level, the mid level. We were going to propose that in next year's budget to see if it if it's stuck. If that's the case, that will certainly be a closure for, several days on each one of those floors to accommodate that work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Is there a?
Move approval.
Second.
So that was moved by Councilmember Lencioni and seconded by Councilmember Wirball. Please call the roll.
Wirball,
Yes.
Weber,
No.
Kulkaitis,
Yes.
Calamaris,
Yes.
Paylighter,
Yes.
Bonegard,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yeah.
Petrola.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, item 6, is there any public comment today, this evening? Item 7, any additional items from mayor and city council members, staff? And then we are going to have an executive session tonight, item 8, for property acquisition. So is there a motion to send us into executive session? Or we're going to, I think we might have some.
I move to go into executive session.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll on that.
Wirball,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulkaitis,
Yes.
Calamaris,
Yes.
Paylighter,
Yes.
Bonegard,
Yes.
Lencioni, Petrola.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We are now in executive session.